without further ado, our guest speaker, Christopher Wright. Walked away from the Democrats.
Yeah. Rename it.
The runaway movement.
The runaway movement.
All right. Well, first and foremost, I want to thank our Lord and Savior Jesus Christ, because without Him, this would be possible. I'd like to thank all our guests here. You guys took time out of your day to come out here, see me, hear me speak. And I know how New York is. It's a very busy place. You got a lot. Everybody's got a lot going on, even on the weekends. So it's just very appreciative that you guys can come out and really take the time out to hear me speak. And then I think Glenn and the whole Brooklyn Tea Party. Glenn's a great man. Real patriot. First time I met him was at C. Saperstein's when he was running for Congress. I met him at an event at Tea Party in Coney Island. First one to Coney Island, by the way. And I got to talk to him afterwards and really get to know the man, and he's just amazing. And he's a comedian too, by the way. He considers a stand-up.
Amazing. I'd like to do sit-down.
Oh, yeah. I remember Mark Boone. I heard a couple others personally. Great job. Okay, so I got index cards with me. There's not a bunch of writing on here. I just got it because I haven't done a public speaking event since high school, so I just kind of want to stay on track.
Relax, you're among friends, and we love your hat.
Thank you so much. All right. So, with that said, thank you, everybody. This is my little backstory. I was born December 11th, 1983, in a military base in Hinesville, Georgia, to Russell Lee Wright and Deborah K. Wright. After my birth, we moved around all the way up to my toddler age, but of course I don't remember. It was Alabama, Mississippi, and Kentucky, I believe. After that, we made a trip because my dad was stationed to Europe and Germany. So we made a trip all the way out to Germany, and we were stationed two military bases there, Baumholder and Mannheim. And that's where I spent 5 years of my life. It was over in Germany, and that was the early stages of my life. It was an amazing experience. I grew up with neighbors who were black, white, Hispanic, Asian, any race under the sun. I think it would be normal. I thought it was normal to go to your friend's house and sit India style and eat dinner sometimes. Just because I was raised in that culture, and I thank God for doing that because He showed me to focus on content of character, not skin color. So, with that said, it was an amazing experience. I got to see France, Sweden, Italy. Oh, it was just beautiful. But the one thing that kept me grounded when it came to our country is, they had the TX. Anybody in the military is familiar. I used to go there and we used to get, VHS tapes and, and everything. So I always stay tuned to a United States by television, watching shows like Roseanne, Alf, Different World, Cosby Show, All in the Family, Thundercats, He-Man. I can go on and on for days. It was just a lot of great American Transformers, a lot of great American television, and Voltron. You gotta get Voltron, Yeah, so it was just
Defender of the universe.
Exactly. He-Man and Skeletor, of course. That looks like Nancy Pelosi, by the way. Yes. So it was, I was literally not knowing at that age, I was getting a dose of Americana right into my veins, like pure needle. And it was, I loved it. I always loved America. Even when I lived over there, I never felt like I was in another culture, I just, being so young, I just thought, this is America too. This is just the beautiful thing about it. And my dad was, at that time, a captain in the Army, infantry. And he would take me down to the barracks, and I would get to see all the troops there, watch them all. They get out there and play basketball, and these were men, the real men, not the little beta males you see on the way to the train with the legs crossed, So I grew up around that. I remember talking to my father. He was my first superhero, and I remember talking to him and saying, why aren't you in the NBA? Like, you should be playing with, the Jordans and, Scottie Pippen and all that. Or, he was like, son, you're a little young. Not quite there. 5'11" ain't gonna do it. But, so I got a good dosage of that. And, after that, after about around 1989, 90, around that time frame, we got to go see the Berlin Wall fall. And so my dad took me to that event, and I was very young at the time. And I remember he had us up in like a guarded area to watch it from like a good distance, but we could see everything going on. And when the wall came down and you saw East and West Berlin just running across the wall, it was amazing. But being a kid, I was a little scared at first, but my dad was telling me, calm down, this is a good thing. This is supposed to happen. And seeing families that haven't seen each other in decades, running across that wall, hugging and crying, and it was amazing. It was an amazing experience. And I tell people all the time, the first time I witnessed freedom in my life was in another country, but it was still, I know the importance of having freedom because of that moment. We still have Berkeley, but Dad still has pieces of the wall back at the house. So, it's something I can always go over and take a look and just kind of remember the experience. So, with that said, in 1991, we made a trip back to the States. We moved to Maryland. There was a military base there, Fort Meade, where my dad was stationed to. And he got the rank of Army Major at that time. And after we were stationed there, we lived in New Cut Farms in Maryland, and eventually moved to Glen Burnie. But I remember meeting my friends for the first time, coming off the plane, and seeing heat waves, and like, what the heck are these, And it's hot, and the thick humidity of Maryland. Oh, anybody who lives in Maryland knows what I'm talking about. And so I met my friends, and I grew up in a good neighborhood with, just like I said, multiple races again. And I didn't come, anybody came to talk, I talked to them. I didn't think, oh no, I'm this part of town here, that part of town, and that nonsense. But I remember my first time my friends talked with me, and I asked them, you guys have any castles around here? Because they looked at me like, White Castle? We don't got what are you talking about? But so they still joke to me to this day when they see me, man, like, hey, man, you seen castles lately? So, because, we had so much history over in Europe that, there's such an old country, I didn't realize that, this is the new country here, And so after that, I had a great experience with them, growing up. And as a young child, I've always been into the news and into politics. I used to sit at my friend's parents' coffee table in the morning before school and act like I was like, one of the adults and had a newspaper out and try to, like coffee. No, I can't drink coffee, I'm not allowed to, but I had hot chocolate and sitting with them talking. And it was a great experience, and they would talk politics with me. And what I noticed is when I would talk with them, and even the ones who were Republicans, Maryland's very blue, just like New York, as I'm sure you know. But there was a few of my friends' parents who were Republicans, and they would, when we talk politics,
That's a Democrat did that.
Yeah.
oh yeah, there must be. Will we fly? So when I was speaking to them about politics, what I noticed is they were just impressed, the Republicans. When I told them I was just into politics, they were like, oh wow, we're just amazed. And they're like, well, what do you stand for? And I'll tell them, Democrats, because like families Democrats, it's it's a black community thing almost in a way. As we know, we've got 96% Democrat, unfortunately. We're working on that. And, but when I tell them that, they would be like, kind of give me a look, like a little smirk. But they wouldn't give me a hard time. They wouldn't disrespect me. They wouldn't say, are you crazy? Or nothing like that. They would just say, you're still young. And I remember that. And so as time went by, what I'll do is, I got a little older, I got more into politics. When I turned 18.
Oh boy, it's waving. They believe it's waving. The flag is waving, right? It's waving.
That's fine.
It's no wind yet.
It's like the one on the moon.
Right.
So, I got a little older, I got more into politics. My mom.
Boy, we can let them take that down.
Sorry.
That's fine.
Experiencing technical difficulties, please stand by.
And so when I turned, got older in the teenage years, I got even more and more into politics. When I was 18, my parents sat me down. And the day I turned 18, I remember this when AOL was still out, so show my age a little bit. They sat me down and registered me to vote. And when they registered me to vote, I asked them, I said, well, who are you guys? Are you guys Democrats or Republicans? And they said, we're not going to tell you. They're like, you got to figure out where you stand on your own. And I'm so glad they did that, because what they were showing me, they didn't ingrain you have to be this. They just said this is a democracy. You choose what you want to be when you get older. It's your choice. And I appreciate them doing that. But when time went by, I would pay more attention to what they were watching on TV, and a lot of Bill Clinton, a lot of crooked Hillary. Really, none of that nonsense. So, but I watched it and I kind of figured where they stood politically. So, that's how I got older. I became a Democrat, and I became. And when I was younger, when I was in my late teens, early 20s, I was like, the Che Guevara shirt wearing. That's why I had to put on this shirt. Not the Che, it's not Che Guevara, anybody wondering. That's Paul Joseph Watson. But I used to be the guy with the Che Guevara shirts, Government's out to get you, da 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 da, vote Democrat, Obama would have been proud of me, put it that way. so what happened when I moved down to Georgia, it was 2008, and that's when the housing crisis occurred, as a lot of people remember, and a lot of people were moving down south. So I moved down there, and I, eventually got my own place, but at the moment I was staying with my sister for a few months. And when I was down there, my aunt knew some people down there that were campaigning for Obama. So I reached out to her like, please, because the whole "Yes We Can," all the rally speeches and everything he was doing, everybody was just blown away by Obama. He was so amazing, and I thought he was like the next Martin Luther King. I thought he was going to change America for the better. I thought, this guy's going to be the next big thing. So I said, can I find a way to campaign for him? And she got me to her friends. They got me on the campaign trail. I was going door to door, and apartment buildings, nice neighborhoods, poorer neighborhoods, inner cities, everywhere I could go. I was knocking door to door, because I went door to door when I was 15 years old. I've been working since I was 14. And when I did that, I was able to get Obama around over 500 votes just on my own, because I was just grinding every day, and I was like my job.
You're the reason why.
He lost by like 12% in Georgia, by the way. So that's only Atlanta's blue there. Everything else, all the rest of the state's red. So but I worked very hard, and I thought I was like, man, I really made a change in the country. We're going to really change things around. After 4 years, I realized that wasn't really the case. I saw that a lot of promises he made during his campaign trail, he wasn't sticking to. And he was doing certain things that he didn't even say in his campaign trail that he was trying to get passed. And, Obamacare and all that nonsense was just, where is this coming from? Like, this is not what you were running on. So when I noticed that, I kind of put two and two together, and I said, this man, he is not for the American people. He is not, and first time I ever in my life would consider conservatism. And before I continue with that story, the first time I've heard about conservatism, that I really heard about it, was I was working for Comcast in Georgia. I was a cable guy, worked for Comcast for 5 years. And I went to a gentleman's home one day, and I knocked on his door, he came to the door, and this was like, I guess, the stereotypical, evil, white, racist, yada, yada, yada. Long stringy hair, white beater on, Budweiser cans all over the place, Confederate flags hanging up. I was like, oh, where the heck is the exit? What am I doing here? And so, but I relaxed. I said, you know what, you got a job to do. Just do the job. The faster you do it, the faster you get out of here. So I went to go change the box. He said, issue with his TV. And when I changed the box, I checked his signal, what we call with a meter. That's what we use to check signal. And I saw the signal was very weak. And I was like, man, this guy's weak still coming to his whole house. Because I went outside to the side of the house to check it then. So I said, this guy's going to need a whole new drop, which in cable terms is just the line that gives signal to the house. And it was aerial, so I had to go put the ladder on the pole, get up there, change the whole drop, really do some work in the Georgia sun. And it was, anybody who knows about Georgia in the summertime, watch out, So I was working. So this guy saw me, and he saw me working outside, grinding, sweating, and he came outside, he said, young man, I didn't know you had to do all this today. I thought you just had to change the box out. You're right here really working. He's like, I want to get you some food, I want to get you some drinks, I want to take care of you. Thank you for doing what you're doing. I said, okay, yes, sir. So we came out, brought him some food, got him some drinks, kind of relaxed a little bit after that, and then we started talking. And when we started talking, we got in a really deep conversation. And, so I spent like about 2 hours at the guy's home. And I'll never forget, at the end, when I finally got services up and running, things were looking good, the signal was great, all that good stuff. I was walking back to my work truck, and he said to me, young man, can I ask you a question? I said, sure, we had a good conversation, why not, was a question, And he said, who'd you vote for this last election? And it was this is right, like 2 weeks after Obama won, by the way. This soon. We kind of gave each other like a look like. And we were like, okay, all right. He's like, it's fine. He said, first black president of the United States. I love it, it's great. He seems like a nice man. He's like, and guess what? I hope he does a good job. Because if he does a good job, the country's going to do well. And when he said that, it kind of caught me off guard a little bit. I'm like, whoa, I thought you were like the opposition. I thought you were the enemy in a way. And but when he kind of caught me off guard a little bit, and he said, let me ask you just a few more questions, and you can go about your way. And I said, sure. He's like, do you believe in a smaller government? I said, yes. Do you believe in Christianity, Christian values? Yes. Do you believe in traditional family values? Yes. Do you believe in protecting the Constitution, gun rights? Boom, boom, boom. Just down the line. Yes, 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 yes. All the way down. And he said, you know what that was? I said, no, sir. He said, that's conservatism. So, it resonated with me to this day. And I got back in my work truck. I kind of thought about that a bit, but then I just kind of rolled my eyes like, okay, buddy, yep, Obama is the green there. We're going to change it, yada, yada, yada.
Yeah.
So back to where I was before, 4 years later, I saw that Obama wasn't the superhero, you know, yes, we can, yada, yada, all that stuff. So I started looking for the first time politically at conservatism. And the two people I was looking at was Ron Paul and Herman Cain. And so I was considering both candidates, and I was looking at both of them, and I was like, which one, you know, I like what they had to say, I like what, you know, and I was supporting them. But first, what I saw, one of the main enemies of the country, for the first time, and noticed them really well, was the mainstream media.
Right.
Because what the mainstream media did, first with Ron Paul, as you know, I believe it was, he won Iowa, I believe it was, and when he won, I saw what they did. They would talk, you know, broadcasting, okay, this is the top 5 Republican candidates in the primary, yada, yada, yada. And then when they went to number 1, which was Ron Paul, they would just skip it, not even say anything, and say number 2, you know, Herman Cain, number 3, Mitt Romney, and just go on. And I saw all the stations doing the same thing. I'm like, wow, they're not even going to say the man's name. Like, you know, I hate him or love him or believe in his policies or not, he still won. Give the man his credit. And so I saw how they cut him totally up, just totally stopped talking about him. And eventually he fell off the campaign trail and lost his position, and that was into Ron Paul. Herman Cain, I remember he was doing well at one point too. He had that one commercial with the guy smoking a cigarette with his friend and all that, like to show like, hey, you know, we're going, you know, no political correctness anymore. Like pretty much what he was saying in that commercial. That was pretty funny. But I also liked his message. He's a businessman. You know, I thought he would be great for the economy, bringing jobs back in the country. So I like what the man had to say. But then they had, you know, all these women that supposedly had affairs and things back in the day, and they brought them all out. And, you know, so after that, he just backed away. And honestly, I think he backed away not because he was guilty, because as you see recently with these current accusations, they're lying a lot of times. I just think he was worried about his business. He said, you know, if I fight this and whatever, win or lose, my business is going to be affected. So let me just step away and let them have it. So with that said, who did they throw after that? Mitt Romney. And with Mitt, I was just like, man, I want to go to conservative. I want to check conservatives and Republicans out. Really want to do it, but this guy's not going to be the guy to make me switch. This guy was just plain Jane, you know, just, you know, nothing about him to me really stood out to like where I really wanted to support him. So I went to vote Obama again. As you know, he got reelected. And, you know, we got 4 years of Obama. So, yeah, oh yeah. So, and after 8 years of Obama total, I saw all the craziness this guy was doing, man. All the policies he was trying to pass. I mean, he was trying to get men in the ladies' room. Oh, you know, okay, you gotta put a dress on before you go there. Then you can go to the ladies' room. And he was just like, you know, the stuff he was talking about, things he was saying on TV. He was disrespecting the primary candidates on the Republican side who were running. I'm like, you're president of the United States. Like, why are you talking about candidates on the other side, opposition, that are running? Like, you should be governing. And then he was on the campaign trail, and then Hillary was with him, and they were all just going around the country campaigning. I'm like, this guy is still president, and he's campaigning for, you know, a woman that was supposed to be his, you know, his little enemy back in the day, and now they're best buds. And Michelle's hugging up on her, and you know, it's all love and dove. I'm like, what? This is just so wrong. And of course, the mainstream media was doing what the mainstream media does. And what caught my attention in 2016, as soon as the name Dr. Ben Carson was announced, I didn't care if we ran for Republican, Democrat, Libertarian, Green Party, you know, anything. I would have supported Dr. Ben Carson. There we go. Yeah, that's real. Yeah, let it be. Because Dr. Ben Carson, I grew up with him. My dad, who is a pastor to this day at a Seventh-day Adventist church. My dad met Dr. Ben Carson about 3 or 4 times in the past. When I was a little boy, he gave me the book Gifted Hands. And he gave me that book, and he told me, son, I want you to read this because you can be a black man in this country. You don't have to play basketball, or be a rapper, or anything like that. You can be a successful person in this country just if you work hard enough. So I read that book, and it was the first novel I ever read, because back then I was reading comics, and I was like, ooh, that was a lot. But that book was so interesting, I read the whole thing from front to back, and it was life-changing. He was an amazing man. The first black man first doctor, first neurosurgeon to separate Siamese twins from the brain. Amazing man. So when he ran, and not to mention he dissed Obama during that Obamacare situation too. That's pretty cool. I was like, yeah. So when he ran, I was all Dr. Ben Carson. No questions asked. I didn't want no arguments. I don't care what anybody says. I don't care. I'm going Dr. Ben Carson. I went online, and I always talk politics on social media, all the way from MySpace to Facebook to Instagram, all this new stuff. And I always would talk about Democrats. So every 2 to 4 years, I'll say I'm voting for this leftist, that leftist. And everybody was, oh, Chris, you're so smart, you're so intelligent, well-spoken. I love it when you talk politics, yada, yada, yada. As soon as I said I'm voting for Dr. Ben Carson, things changed very quickly. Because remember, I come from a very blue state too in Maryland. So childhood friends were like, hey, what do you mean, Dr. Ben Carson? You know he's Republican? Like, what are you doing? Like, are you crazy? Like, what is your problem, man? I'm like, whoa. I'm like, calm down. It's like, this is a good man. Like, give him an opportunity. There's nothing wrong with Dr. Ben Carson. But they were giving me a hard time. And so I didn't care. I was still coming out, showing my support. But I saw family and friends both like kind of looking at me with a side eye, like, okay. And what happened with Dr. Ben Carson is that same enemy I told you about before came back and attacked again. And that enemy was the mainstream media. And what the mainstream media did was they lied to him when it came to West Point. Because if you see when he talked about West Point, he just said that they considered him to go to the school. He was talking with some administration there and everything like that but he told them at the end of the day, I don't want to go to military college because I want to graduate and be able to go straight to my career field. And thank you for the opportunity, but thank you, but no thank you, pretty much. So what the media did is they took that statement and said, oh, he said he got accepted to West Point. Oh, we just did research and he has no documentation of him being accepted to the school. So they totally lied and they totally, on this man's character, everything. Call him a liar, all kinds of stuff. Say he's slow. This stuff, I was like, what are they talking about? And then for the first and only time in my life, I saw Dr. Ben Carson come out and do an interview right after that, and he was pissed. I don't know how to say it. He was yelling, he was upset, and what he was saying was straight truth and facts. And I was like, man, but he was raising his voice, very upset, frustrated with the media, and I was still like, okay, well said, we got your back. But then people come out and said, oh, he's too soft-spoken, and he's this, he's that, and that just, from that point on, he slowly fell off the campaign trail. And he was right there at that time, #1 in the primaries at that time. So when I saw that, I was livid with the media. I was done with them, the mainstream media, I call them. I had nothing more, I wanted nothing to do with it. I saw that they're the ones who decided who the president is, not the American people.
Well, they tried.
They tried. So after that, somebody I saw, who I noticed as well, but who I really got my attention came out, and was named Donald J. Trump. And we all know what Donald Trump does with the media. We don't have to even go into the stories, but he came out and he just kicked their butt. And when I saw him doing that, I was like, whoa, man, Donald Trump. I knew Donald Trump from just, rappers saying they're the Black Trump who were from New York, and now they act like they had nothing to do with them. But when I was growing up, they were all the Black Trump. And he was a billionaire, and he was successful, and he had all these real estate all over the place. Home Alone, he was popped up in there for Home Alone 2. So I decided he was just a cool dude, just, who made a bunch of money. And, I thought, honestly, when he was running, he was just trying to get his name out there for his business. Just to look good on his resume, I ran for president in, 2016. So when he came out and bashed the media, and not only that, when they were doing one of the debates, Dr. Ben Carson came out and the music didn't come on and he didn't hear it and he just stood there. And Donald Trump came, and when he came, he stopped and stood next to Dr. Ben Carson. Yes. And when I saw that, I was like, wow, look at the respect he shows Dr. Ben Carson, the respect that he deserves. And the media, other candidates were whatever, the left, we didn't care about them. But they were all disrespecting him, and the man who treated him with respect was Donald J. Trump. So when I saw that, I said, okay, let me see what this man's about. So thank goodness we live in the year of YouTube, so I was able to go on YouTube, just go to a bunch of previous Donald Trump speeches, watch all his rallies from that point on. I watched, and they were packed, by the way. But I was watching some of his old speeches, even back in the 80s. And one of the famous ones I'm sure everybody might have seen before was the one he did with Oprah Winfrey.
Yes.
And that was amazing. If you haven't seen it, please, I recommend watching it. Because, what he said in that speech is what you hear him saying to this day. And Oprah was, you can tell she was impressed by what he had to say. And she said to him at the very end, she said, will you ever consider running for president in the United States? He said, Oprah, that's not what I want to do. That's that's not in my consideration. But if they ever got the opportunity where things got too bad, I would run. And then I thought, of course, I'm thinking he's running right now. And look how bad the country is off right now. And so I'm like, he wasn't lying about that. He was telling the truth. So when he did that, I was like, wow, this is amazing. Like that he's doing this. This is, so I stuck to just watching his rallies after that. And when I watched his rallies, this guy was packing stadiums, filling the whole place up. And so when the media was coming out and saying he has a 10% chance of winning, and Hillary has 90%, and she's gonna, you know, da da da. I was like, I'm watching Hillary's rally. She can't even fill up a library, nevertheless, a football stadium or something like that. Trump was filling out, you know, putting numbers in, and it was a great thing. And I was like, I'm looking at this as just a logical citizen watching this campaign. He's filling out stadiums. She can't fill out a library. I think he's going to win. So I went online, said Dr. Carson was no longer in the campaign trail. And I said, I'm coming up, I'm going to vote for Donald J. Trump. And when I did that on Facebook, you would think a nuke went off. It was, oh man, I'm talking aunts, uncles, siblings, my older sister. I mean, everybody attacked. My friends from Maryland, childhood friends, came after me. And they came after me full force. And they were just yelling. And you know, you can't yell on social media. I can just hear them yelling through the social media.
They trying to do an exorcism on you?
Yeah, I think so, man. That's what I think they were trying to do, not looking back at it. And you know, once they did that, I was like shocked by some of the things we were saying, because, you know, even a few of my white friends were saying things to me like borderline racist almost. And I'm like, what is going on? I was so shocked, I didn't know how to respond. My good friend Doug Kelly, shout out to Doug, by the way, he called me during the process and he said, bro, you hear what they're saying on you, man? Are you gonna sit here and take that? Are you gonna fight for that, or you know what? So I'm like, you're right. So that's what I did. I decided to fight back. And when I fought back with them with truth, facts, evidence. And when I hit them there, they just backed up. They were like, whoa, what's going on here? What's this truthful, all this information you're giving us? I'm like, it's called facts. You guys don't have it. So I was hitting them with it. And when I was hitting them with it, you know, people would come from, you know, I was arguing at least 5 or 6 people at a time, you know, on social media. And I would just sit there and I would school every single one of them, one by one, until, you know, I got my point across. And it got to the point all the way up to election night. And, you know, it was like crazy on social media that day. And, you know, but I went on there and I said, Trump's gonna win. Trump has it in the bag. Like, you know, you'll see. And, you know, as we all know, our president, you know, he did his thing. He won that election. And, you know, crooked Hillary got dismissed.
It was so great
Oh, I loved it. It was like a bomb went off in New York the next day. I rode the train on purpose, you know, I take the bus to work. Just to see people's faces. It was beautiful. So beautiful. It was so beautiful. And then I did a meme as well. Like 3 o'clock in the morning when they finally announced, because you know they took forever to announce that President Trump won. When they finally made the official announcement, I made a meme of those days, Game of Thrones, but it had Hillary's face on one of the queens. And she was walking, and she walked to the window and stood there and fell out the window. And I said, checkmate, I win. So with that said, you know, you know, it being Black History Month, one of the things that really caught my attention, like conservatism, what really helped me come over and make that switch was, you know, Dr. Ben Carson, of course, was like the official, but I had a moment also with my best friend Doug, who I mentioned this just now, where we were in his kitchen and he was telling me about Rush Limbaugh, Neil Boortz, Larry Elder, amazing man, I love Larry Elder. And when he did that, was, he said, you know, you gotta check these guys out. So I kind of looked at him a little bit, listened to him a little bit, but I was just like, man, you know what you're doing, you know what you're talking about, I'm a Democrat, yada, yada, yada. So when I came to Maryland to visit him, we got an argument in his kitchen in front of the entire family. And you know, when you have best friends, when you argue with a good friend, it's passion, you just go at it. People might think you're fighting, but you guys know you're not gonna fight, you're just trying to get this person to change their mind. And we just argue, and I said, look, you know what? Let history determine who's right and who's wrong. You know, we'll see. So after that point, I went and did some research. I looked at the history of the Democratic Party. I saw that the party created the KKK, the party that was responsible for segregation, for lynching, for, you know, for blacks not being able to vote. I mean, anything you can think that was done to the black community in a negative way, it was done by Democrats. All the way from slavery, you know, abortion, Margaret Sanger, abortion.
And Lincoln was a Republican.
Yeah.
When the Democratic Party was founded, they only wanted white males who had paid off their mortgages to vote.
Wow.
I guess I can't vote then.
You had to pay off your mortgage before you could vote. That was a Democratic idea.
Yeah. See? And then when I looked at it, I was like, wow, look at this. Like, you know, look at all the stuff they've done to the black community. I mean, they would rip if she went to slave ship, they would, first thing they do is take the black father out of the family picture, and then they will keep, you know, the mother and the kids, and usually a lot of times bedwench with the mother as well. So they were raping, they were pillaging, they were doing all this to the black community. And when I looked at it, I said, aren't they kind of doing that still to this very day with the welfare system?
Yeah.
And I put two and two together, and I was like, wow, they're using government funds, saying, telling black women, hey, we'll give you more money if you can put on paper that there's no white man living in your house. So they buy, more government money, and then, I saw that they were still playing the same game, but in a different way. And instead of the KKK, they got Black Lives Matter.
Yeah.
So, but they still got their race ideology that's based on that. Their physical force to go out there and fight and do the dirty work. They're still the same party. And so I was like, well, what about the Democrats? And what about the Republicans? What's their history? And a man that helped me find out that true history was Dinesh D'Souza with the movie Hillary's America. The Murder, Death of the Nation, great movie as well, by the way. And when I saw Hillary's America, at the end of the movie, I was in tears. It was amazing. I learned, I always respected people like Davy Crockett and love her history. And you saw that Davy Crockett was fighting for blacks to do what they needed to do back in the 1800s. Republicans were trying to get blacks to vote and blacks to end segregation and just do all these great things. And Abraham Lincoln was the first Republican candidate to ever run. And the Republican Party was started by him and black leaders, some in Congress at that time, who came together to start this party. So I tell people all the time, when I talk to people on the opposite side, I said, there was never a conservative in American history that owned a slave. And that, when I said to them, they're kind of like, how? Then I tell them who the first president was, and they're like, oh, okay. So, I just did my history. And when I did my history, I learned, I called my friend up, he was at work, does HVAC, DJ Hay and Sons, by the way, anybody in Maryland, he's HVAC work. He works, he was 14, great employee, great worker. But when I called him up and I said, Doug, I got something to say, man. Remember that day in the kitchen when we got in an argument? He was like, of course, man, look, man, I'm past that. That's old news. I'm like, no, I bring it up because I want to apologize to you. You're right. You're right about conservatism. And I'm decided to be a conservative. So that was, the moment I had that really helped me. And so with that said, I moved to New York about 6 years ago now. And, I was, conservative, Trump all the way, all that good stuff. But then I walked around New York and I see wasn't too many people like me that were thinking the same thing. I was on social media still supporting Trump, still supporting the president. Had friends and family like, Chris, okay, he won, can we move on? But I'm like, I knew it was history. I knew this is bigger than just, oh, he won, let's go back to work and act like nothing happened. I said, no, I gotta keep speaking because I knew the media was gonna come after him. I knew the left was gonna come after him. And I had to keep telling the truth about this man. So that's what I did. And I never forget the day I was ranting about Trump on something to somebody online. And my friend Kwan, who I call my spiritual sister, a very sweet woman, Kwan Lynn Green, Najib Green, her husband's running for Senate as a Republican, by the way, down in Georgia. So I mentioned that out there. And, she saw me just doing my rant. She said, Chris, why don't you just make a video or something? And because I know she's getting to the point like, oh my gosh. But she's like, why don't you just do a video? And I'm like, and at that time I didn't like taking pictures. I was like, I'm not even Kwan, I don't like taking pictures. I don't like being out there like that. She's like, just do me a favor. She's like, just ride the bus, don't have your headphones on, listen to what happens, and do a video where you're walking and just talking about what you heard that day. So I was like, okay, I'll give it a shot. I went on the bus that day. I saw it was it was a young Hispanic young lady, young black lady, and the black girl had a little toddler in her lap. And they were going, on the way that I was going, and they were arguing with somebody on the phone, and they were like, oh girl, when I see you, I'm gonna get you, da da da. And it was just arguing, fighting, and they just got up and on the stop that wasn't even theirs and went to go fight this girl with the baby, still there. And the baby was trying to say the F word by the time they were getting off, because that's how much they were cussing in front of this little girl. And I was just like, good grief, so I guess I'll just talk about that. So I did a little video when I got the bus. I was walking to my house, and I shot myself talking about that story. And I sent it to her, and I said, what do you think? And be honest. And she said, Chris, to be honest with you, that was pretty good. You had me laughing, you had me in listening, you had me all all the, I'm like, be honest, don't BS me, He's like, no, I really think you did a good job. I said, okay, all right, I'll take your word for it, And so the way God works is funny sometimes. So the next day, I was on the same bus coming home from work, and I was watching YouTube, and I saw a man by the name of Brandon Strock, and he had a video called his walkaway video. And it was just a black background, and him talking directly to the camera. And he was telling them why he decided to leave the Democratic Party and what made him leave. And it felt like he was talking directly to me when I saw the video. So I watched it, and right before I saw the very end, and right when the very end came, my bus stop was there. So I said, you know what? I'm gonna do a walkaway video right now. I'm just gonna do it right now. So I got off the bus, and I started recording, and this is a phrase that got pretty popular. I didn't expect it was popular, but it did. I said, I'm doing my walkway video. What better way to do a walkway video while you're walking away? So I shot the video, and once I was done, I spoke out about how I felt about the Democratic Party, why I left, why I'm supporting Trump, why I'm proud of my president, why I think he's doing a great job. And I stopped, I shared it on Facebook. As soon as it hit on Facebook, it got over 4,000 shares within an hour. And I had over 8,000 likes. People were messaging me, people were commenting. I was getting friend requests like a machine gun. It was like, I didn't know what to do. I was like, whoa, what's happening? What's happening? Like, what is this? You know, I had like 200 friends, well, like 130. I lost a few after Trump. But, but you know, they were just coming in. So I was just like, okay, let me just figure out who's who and what's what. And I was, you know, trying to vet the best way I could, you know, and you know, I had World War II veterans there messaging me, saying how brave I was. And I was like, me brave? Like, you guys stormed the beaches of Normandy.
Yeah.
How, you know, like, I walked through a neighborhood and just, you know, talking on the camera, but they were just amazed that I was in such a blue place, blue state in Brooklyn, speaking the truth about conservatism, because they knew how blue New York was. So, after doing that, you know, I posted on I made a YouTube channel, and I call it Conservative in New York, for anybody who wants to check it out. And I started posting that walkway video on there, and then I would just do what I call walking talks, where I just continue where I left off. Where I walk through Brooklyn, and I just talk about politics, what's going on in the world, different topics, and you know, I started building an audience. And every video I posted, I got like more and more people, and now I got about 52 videos on there, and I got 10,400 subscribers, and they're just telling me, man, you're doing a great job. So I said, you know, but what I noticed was in my comment section, I would get people saying, whoa, man, conservative in New York? What?
Yeah.
He's like, I thought it was only one, man. I'm in Harlem. You know, what's going on? You know, hey, you know. Then you got a guy from the Bronx. Hey, man, I'm out in the Bronx, man. What's happening, man? Let me, you know, I thought I was, yo, you're crazy, man. I can't believe you're in New York doing this. Da-da-da. You know, guys from Queens, guys from Staten Island. You know, every borough, they were reaching out to me. You know, and they were saying just like, you know, where can we go? What can we do? How can we join you? How can we? And I didn't have an answer for them. I just was like, I just making videos. I didn't expect to, you know, even get this many subscribers on my own videos. I didn't expect people to be reaching out to me talking about, you know, how can we join you or be a part of what you're doing. So what I started doing, I said I need to create a group for like-minded individuals, young conservative-minded individuals, not rhinos. Now, let me make that clear. And I wanted to find a way to get them all together and see what I can do. So I just went on Facebook, created a little group, private group page. I started posting on my personal page saying, hey, I got this group, come check it out. If you're in the New York or New Jersey area, please reach out. And I call that group the CRA, and that's Conservative Republican Alliance, New York to be specific. And so I went on and people started joining and sending me invites, requests, and I started, you know, seeing who was in Jersey or in the New York area, and I got them all in the group, you know, as many people as I could. So I did a social, I'm on the third social now, I just did my third social event. But, you know, I started doing social events. We get together at like, you know, a restaurant or a bar, and we can get together, talk, and wear Trump hats and shirts, and, you know, say the T word without somebody, you know, throwing a bottle at us or anything crazy, you know, and, you know, that's what I did. And it just continued to grow, continue to build. And it's something that I'm looking to now push into the 2020 election season. I got, you know, candidates, Vicky being one of them, you know, that I'm supporting and backing, and just people that are real true conservatives. And I want to start now and really back them up now. So when the time comes 2020, we're not standing with our hands in the pocket and we get by another blue wave. I don't want that to happen. So I'm working now. We're going to get that there, start doing grassroots campaigns, because, you know, as crazy as Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, whatever, how crazy she is, she's nuts. One thing I'll give her credit for, one thing, I hate to do it, but I give her one thing she did right, and that was grassroots campaigning. And I said, you know, me going door to door since I was 14 years old, I know the importance of just going to somebody's home and just getting in front of them. Because if you text them, you call them, they blow you off, but when you're knocking on the door at dinner time, they're gonna, good or bad, they're coming to the door, you know. And so I learned how to, you know, the importance of that. So I said, I'm gonna do the same thing with this movement. So, you know, we got the Conservative Republican Alliance together, and that was, you know, that's the main focus that we have right now. And, you know, what the whole thing when it comes to what I'm doing right now. And this is kind of like my battle cry in a way, is I want to let everybody know out there that we're doing something in New York that needs to be done. I mean, because if you don't look at New York, it's turning into Sodom and Gomorrah. They're killing babies. They're trying to okay pedophilia. Got a little boy running around at male gay clubs, and they're throwing money at him, and all that. He's starting a Tinder for kids that want to be transgenders. Like, they are going down.
They're violating their own laws because it's illegal to be in a bar until you're 18 or 21 or whatever.
Exactly. So they are just radicalizing everything. And, you know, I lost my mom at 20 years old from colon cancer. Thank you. And I know she's watching, and I know she wants me to fight. So.
Let's join the fight. Come on.